On time. Hey, everybody. My name is G Brown, G Brown, the lifestyle changer. And
I'm Frederick Brown, the husband.
And you are hanging
Hanging
with
with
the
the
Browns. Okay, so I searched and I found your man crush.
You know what?
I know that's what I'm calling him, his man crush.
He's the man.
Huh?
He's the man.
I know that's what you say.
Yeah,
You're like,
the
oh
man.
my God. You know, and when we started doing interviews on our channel, that's one of the things he said, well, I would love to interview this particular person. And so without any further ado, here he is, Kent Carnivore.
Hey, how you
Hey,
doing?
Yeah, I'm great,
Hey,
thanks.
man.
Hey, Frederick.
Actually, I'm
welcome
going
to
to
the
kind of
show.
sit back. Which one you prefer, Kent or Lee?
Lee, yeah, Kent's the Garden of England, so I thought I was representing Kent, but it turns out there's quite a few people doing carnivore in this area, so I just never knew, until I started the YouTube and started to interact with people.
Okay.
Right. All right, Lee. I like that.
Yeah.
So audience, I asked him ahead of time, was there any topic off limit? Because you're young. How old are you?
I'm 36. So yeah. Middle-age-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young enough to be our
kid, I know. Our daughter will be 38 in a week, in about 10 days.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Let me see. Are you with someone, or you're dating?
My partner, yeah, my partner Lucy, she's going to probably be back in maybe an hour and a half from work. Her daughter, who lives with us, so she's not legally my stepdaughter, but that's basically, I'm kind of her stepdad. She's just upstairs, keeping herself occupied.
And the reason why I asked that, and that's why I asked, was anything off limits, is because how does that affect? We're gonna talk about the intimacy aspect, because we ain't said anything. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet. Go ahead.
You're putting the cart before the horse here. All right, Lee. So let's tell everybody who you are, man, and
Sure.
just who you are. Who is Kent
Sure.
Carnivore?
Yeah. So my name is Lee. Not many people do know that, as they're sort of catching on in the comments. So everybody used to call me Kent for a long time, but it's all good. So yeah, I live in the Garden of England, known as Kent. Sean Baker actually asked me a little while ago how many people are there, and I was thinking like maybe between 1 or 2 million, but I didn't want to embarrass myself. But turns out there's about 1.8 million of us in Kent, in the area. Some good butchers, lots of farmers around, but nobody sort of that I know, that I've never met anybody that's sort of doing this kind of extreme diet, So yeah, a little bit about my background. I was pretty reasonably healthy as a child. Good upbringing, lots of family support and this kind of thing. And it wasn't until I was 24 when I actually had my first diagnosis with my health that was a little bit concerning. So I had some nasty symptoms going to the toilet one day, and there was blood and things like that. After a couple of these minor flares, I thought, okay, this isn't going on its own. So I'll take myself down to the general practitioner, my doctor. And we went to the hospital and basically did some tests, took some biopsies of my colon, and came back with confirmation for ulcerative colitis. So it's similar to Crohn's, but it only affects the colon exclusively. So it's an inflammatory bowel disease, and I would just suffer with going in and out of flare-ups where there would be ulcers and vulnerable spots that would bleed. It caused what would feel a lot like diarrhea, and just during those times of flaring, I would just basically lose confidence and often lose weight, feel a little bit run down, like you're just losing electrolytes and blood and iron and things like that. Basically, I managed to go without medication for the first 2 years because it was quite mild, very low end. It wasn't until 2014, so I got my diagnosis 2012. 2014, I started to take medication orally just to lower the frequency of bowel movements and things like that. And that kind of helped initially, obviously, because it addresses the symptoms like all drugs do, but it wasn't ever really treating, it wasn't addressing the root cause, if you like. It's kind of managing the disease. But anyway, the doctor also told me to eat more fiber, whole grains, vegetables, fruits. And so I took that information, went away, started to eat more of that stuff, took the medication. And I did this for the next 3 years. And despite taking all of that, the advice and recommendations, wound up in hospital in 2017. The news being, you ain't leaving with your colon. We're going to have to take your whole colon out. The flares were getting worse up until that point. On my last flare, I was going to the toilet 30 times a day, which was very, very severe. And yeah, I basically ended up in hospital very depleted, and I'd lost quite a bit of weight, a lot of muscle tissue, and yeah, in need of serious help. I didn't realize at the time I was shedding the sort of the lining of my colon, if you like. It was on its way to perforation, and they could see that. They trialed me on different drugs. I wasn't in a situation where they could get me out of trouble. It was kind of like too far gone. They tried, even in the hospital, different immune suppressants and steroids and all sorts, and yeah, just wouldn't go away. And so they came around at one point and said, yeah, we're taking your colon out. And so I had ileostomy surgery. So that's kind of the first part, the first chapter of the health story, if you like.
So
straighten our faces up, because when you said that, we were like, oh, when you go back and watch this, it was like,
I know,
terror on our faces.
It's an amazing story. but did they ever find out the cause of what caused your situation?
Will we know?
So really, what they basically describe it as just an autoimmune disease. It's either inherent or you've triggered it somehow, but we don't really, they don't understand it. I think in some ways they would probably describe it as idiopathic, because they don't ever really consider the fact that, sure, I had that weakness. It might have been in my genetics to trigger, but to pull the trigger is a different thing. And that they couldn't tell me, the doctors, the surgeons, they've never really said, right, this is why, that where I feel like I know why. It's just like someone having diabetes. The fact that they can't tell you, oh, well, your blood sugar is elevated chronically, let's stop eating carbohydrates. That you'd think that would be simple, but again, that's not what they tell you. They just say, oh, you're obviously sensitive with your sugar and you're regulating your blood sugar, take some medication. And that's kind of what they did with me. They said to, if anything, eat the foods that are causing you the problem, eat more whole grains, eat the fiber. So the fiber obviously doesn't break down, like cellulose doesn't break down, even insoluble fiber doesn't really break down thoroughly. And so that stuff, that plant material was going through my gut all the time. I was sick, and they only told me to eat more of that stuff. And even with the medication, clearly that was bad advice. Whether they had their heart in the right place or not, it didn't really work. And it's taken me to find this diet to realize, from experiencing now having a bag, to see potentially what was the biggest culprit. So
right. I've watched a lot of your videos, and they are very informative. I really enjoy watching the message that you sent out.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And I think one of the things I got a big kick when I saw Dr. Westman critique one of your videos, right. And that was awesome. He just confirmed everything that you were saying, and that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
One of the things that I recall you mentioning in one of your videos was that you did a lot of experimentation with food prior to the colonoscopy and then after. And can you talk a little bit about that? Some of what you saw or noticed?
Yeah, sure. So in a lot of ways, I mean, the experimenting wasn't necessarily me saying, right, I'm going to start doing experiments. I was a living experiment in two different states, if you like. So there was the pre-surgery and the post-surgery. And so it's funny because I'm just like most other people. I think if I was listening to myself now, like 10 years ago, I probably would be thinking, really, seriously, that's what you came to. That's the conclusion. At the time when I had my colon, I didn't see what I see now. And so I was experimenting unknowingly with different diets. I've tried sort of bodybuilder diets. I've tried more plant-based. I've tried lean proteins with just some vegetables and things like that. And it's funny, I never picked up on the fact that the stuff that doesn't break down is always the plant matter, but it's because you just don't see it in the same way. And so it wasn't until afterwards I've come home and not having any information. It's not like they said, like, well, okay, you've had your colon taken out, now we'll give you the answer. They still didn't know. And so I've just gone home and just carried on eating what I always ate, thinking like, well, I'll eat colorful foods. I'll eat a little bit of everything. I've got some protein, some carbs and some fats, but, careful of the saturated fats. And so I always had chicken and cod and lean proteins, but there was always whole grains. It was always based around grains, breakfast cereals, oats, things like that in the morning, fruit, then whole grain sandwich time. It would be like pastoral rice or something. We're back.
Okay. Yeah, we're back. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so then like grains and things in the evening, like rice and pasta and plenty of vegetables, some sauce and some lean protein. But it wasn't until being in this situation now, I'm starting to process the food. I'm actually seeing the state of the food as it would hit my colon, because obviously it's not all internal now. So I have a stoma, which is basically, so stoma, stomach, it's part of the intestine that protrudes through the abdominal wall, and then you fashion a bag over the top. When that plant material, whatever food I've eaten is digested, it goes into the bag, which is where my colon originally would start. And so I'm now starting to see how a lot of these foods don't break down, and it was news to me. You know, I was eating things like pizza with different toppings, and I'd see some mushroom or some pineapple and big chunks as well, you know, thinking like, wow,
Right.
that's kind of interesting. It was interesting at first, because even to me, I was like, wow, I never knew that's how that certain food would kind of look as it would be at that point in my digestive tract. But now it's on the outside. I can like goes in the bag. I'm emptying the bag a few times a day, and I change it once in the morning and once of a night. And so I get to see, you know, as I'm emptying and things like that, what's going on. And it's funny, even in the initial stages, I'm not thinking, oh, look, there's no meat, there's no fish, there's never any cheese, there's never any milk, there's nothing. You don't see any of that. It's just always the plants. But at first I'm thinking, well, that's a problem. Onions, mushrooms, pineapple, mango, the seeds, all these little bits of seeds and nuts of all these so-called healthy foods, but never any remnants or meat intact. And so, yeah, that's basically what I had come to realize, unknowingly doing these experiments, just through being in this situation now, post-surgery.
Yeah.
But the consequence of the surgery, the aesthetics, the way it felt, my sleep, the way it affected things, that caused me to be depressed. And so the whole point, the whole reason how I found this diet was through trying to solve depression. Again, even at that point, having no clue as to what potentially caused my issues and to begin with. Yeah, I had to, you know, be depressed, stumble across an anecdote from Michaela Peterson, then think, you know, what the hell, I'm going to take a leap of faith, just try this and see if it works for me. Lo and behold, 3 weeks later, my depression's lifted, numerous other ailments just gone. And that's when I started to realize at that point as well, like, wow, I'm not having any issues with the bag. There's no gas, there's no bloating, no obstructions. Like I used to get discomfort, feelings of discomfort, and food that was struggling, you know, because given my situation, the digestive tract, it's got to kind of kink round into the bag. And is that me? Is it a bit
No,
of feedback?
you're fine.
Yeah, okay.
No,
I wondered whether I should stick some headphones on or something. But
I don't hear any feedback.
oh, okay, cool. So yeah, so it wasn't until I wound up in that situation as a consequence of, you know, trying to solve my depression that I now am doing this other experiment, if you like, with the carnivore diet, and then experiencing that there are no issues, none whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, we obviously absorb a lot of the food. We utilize a lot of the food. It doesn't produce gas because it's not fermenting. So that was quite nice. My output lowered a little bit, and I wasn't really experiencing the process of digesting food, because I quite quickly developed a bit of a love-hate relationship with food. As much as I was happy to be rid of my disease, I'm home now, I'm not in the hospital, you know. When I was eating the old stuff, like as I came out and I was back on the normal diet, I quickly started to hate food and regret my food choices, because I would have so many problems. But since I've been carnivore, I've not had any obstructions. I don't suffer with any kind of digestive related issues, none, you know. And it's amazing, because now I'm getting people telling me that if only you found this diet earlier, you would have probably potentially saved your colon, you would have gone in remission, not required pills and surgeries. And I get affirmation of this concept through multiple, on a weekly basis, multiple subscribers and viewers that tell me, you know, I found this diet, or thanks to you, I've come off meds. I don't suffer with my Crohn's flares. I don't suffer with my ulcerative colitis flares. All of that kind of stuff. Right. So crazy.
Awesome. Well, you did mention a couple of things. You mentioned sleep. How are you sleeping now? And how are you sleeping prior to the carnivore, and how are you sleeping now?
The whole process, the whole routine, my daily routines change, you know. I mean, I would be going to bed with a lot of unprocessed food because it was struggling so much with all like fiber and stuff like that. And so I'd be going to bed and it would decide to work because there's no muscle control, you know, it works on gravity and just obviously the way your body works when you're moving around and stuff like that. So when you lay down, you fall asleep, it will slow down. But sometimes if it took me a while to get to sleep, I was having to keep getting up, going to the toilet because the plant mat was still struggling. It was uncomfortable. But now I don't really get any signals that food is struggling or even when it works, I don't really even feel that because my abdominal area would actually react to food when I was eating a lot of fiber because it was struggling. And so just the nature of the surgery, you know, I would have these little spasms and things like that. And it was in many ways quite difficult not to sort of feel around the stomach and try and aid the food, if you like, at the last part of the digestive process because it was just struggling, where now I don't get any of that. And so it still does affect my sleep to a point because obviously I don't lay on my front. I can't just turn right over onto my side being a little bit on my front because it just doesn't feel right. So I mostly sleep on my back, but that has improved. You know, I don't really wake up in the middle of the night like I used to. And it seems that because the food is mostly processed, I didn't have any problems. I don't get the disturbances. I don't get those sensations that kind of unsettle me, wake me up, and where I'm now no longer relaxed, you know.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about some of your limitations? You mentioned not being able to lay on your side. What about swimming? Are you able to swim?
Swimming. Do you know, so this is waterproof, you know, I shower in it. I have showered occasionally. I do believe in showering with it off when I'm very, very confident that it's done for a period of time. But usually I shower with the bag on. I'm basically always wearing the bag. You can't just, you know, take it off. So it is waterproof. You can get into water. I see a lot of other people, you know, promoting their lifestyle with a bag and a stone and say, you know, it's all good. There's different things you can wear if you're insecure and stuff like that. I personally haven't been swimming since I've had it. The last time I was swimming was, in the States, actually, in Vegas. That was the last time I was swimming. I used to swim all the time as a kid. It used to be quite good, actually.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's not even on my mind, honestly. But I wouldn't, if we were in a situation, in a setting where there was a swim pool, I wouldn't, to be honest with you, I just don't care about what people think. Not to offend them. I wouldn't want to offend them, you know, but I'm not insecure about it. I'm quite happy to talk about it. I'm quite happy for people to see it as long as it doesn't offend them, you know. I would feel bad about. It's funny because my sister, she's got a few little kids. One of them's, you know, months old. The others are just a few years old, and so for them, I even forget sometimes. I'll reach or something, and they'll just see something appear under the t-shirt or whatever, and they'll ask, you know, what is that? Because they're kids, they don't get it, you know. And so I even forget. That's how comfortable I am now. But I think it's, you know, it's important just to be open, just show them, tell them what it is, you know. And they accept it better than most adults would, probably, just because of the nature of being so young and innocent, you know.
Now, I got one more question.
Wait, no, here come mine, since he's in there. So now to pick up, how you have a girlfriend, how does this, a partner, how does this, what was your process with that? And where's your comfort level in regards to being intimate? Yeah,
sure. So in the initial stages, when I came out with the surgery and I'm in like a period of recovery, I was single, and so part of what didn't help some of the depression in the beginning was this idea that I'm done. You know, like that I don't like the way this looks. I don't really want to go around showing it. I ran through my mind multiple times scenarios. You know, I could approach somebody. We could be in a situation where we're having a coffee, we're having some lunch, we're on a walk, but at some point this will need to be addressed. I can't, at that moment when you reach so far, now you're going to be intimate, go, oh hey, look, surprise. I wasn't going to go about that. And so I had ran through at least over and over again kind of scenarios. Well, for me, I was actually quite lucky. So Lucy, she used to be a customer of mine, so I used to clean her windows, and I would see her every 6 to 8 weeks. We were very comfortable talking to each other, and she knew about my situation and my health. And as it happens, her sister at the time was engaged to someone with a bag. And so that straight away, so she was familiar with the whole concept. She wasn't offended. Like, I knew just by talking to her that she wasn't put off in any way, where I can understand why someone would be. I think it's probably worth mentioning, you don't see anything offensive. It's quite a nice little looking bag that's innocuous on the eye. You don't smell or hear anything. And actually, for some reason, where it doesn't go through a colon, this is going to sound strange, but it just doesn't really smell that bad, you know. Even if I was to empty it, it's not too bad. But obviously, you wouldn't have. No one has to see that but me anyway. So it's just kind of seeing it for the first time, the aesthetics, and then perhaps just, you know, understanding really what is going on with me physically now. But yeah, she had a good understanding of it, and so she was quite open anyway, and that kind of immediately made me feel comfortable. And she was the one that showed interest first as well, and so that just gave me confidence. Now I could kind of just let go, be myself, continue to be myself. And it's funny, I can't remember where I heard this, but I just remember thinking, this is so true. You can worry about all this stuff all you like, but there comes a moment where biology just takes over, and you just let go, and it's beautiful anyway. There's nothing to worry about. And that's exactly how it went for me. You know, it was obviously in a good setting with the right person, right kind of person. And it didn't even feel strange, honestly, which is kind of, amazing.
Well, let me just add, she can watch this at any time. Lucy, you the girl. I love you. Everybody has their person, and that was great. Yeah, and I'm so glad that you are a carnivore, because you can see on the inside, literally. Okay. I know
that was the thing that has always fascinated me with your situation. You know, there've been times in the past when certain foods that we eat, you know, you can see some evidence in your poop, you know,
right.
But listening to you, knowing that everything comes through, there's nothing that's covered, you know, that was always amazing to me. And honestly, I think you are a true testament that we are eating a proper nutritional diet, human nutritional diet. By the way our food is processed. I've always talked about, you know, the evidence is in the poop. You know, it means a lot, and for you to be able to see it firsthand and to be able to share that information is truly remarkable.
Before we read the question that's on there, here's a question, because he and I did an episode, because you know that when you become carnivore, your poop does change. And I, in the beginning, did not trust the process, because days went by, and you know, they tell us that meat will sit in you and rot.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know what they say over there.
Ironically,
I just got off the phone with someone. I encouraged her. She was the one that introduced vegan to me. And the moment that I watched a documentary, I was on it like that. And ironically, we had a phone call, and she said to me that she tried to eat some meat, and she took a couple of bites of some red meat, and then she was in the bathroom in the toilet. I'm like, yeah, you shocked your system. If I fast and eat, I'm gonna have the runs, you know, if you don't ease into it. And I understood that. So I want to know amounts, because when I was vegan, I could poop 2-3 times a day. And now I know my body was getting rid of what it couldn't use. So I know you said that you change it morning, night, and then empty. But if by eating from when you were eating regular food, the amount and how many times you had to change versus now, and having to change the amount that's in there. Am I making sense?
Yeah. I guess the frequency in which you change it.
Do you know, first of all, I couldn't tell you like exactly, because I don't even know actually what this accommodates, say in milliliters or something like that. But if we just say go by bag, so I never let it get full anyway. I think that's kind of weird. I wouldn't want to walk around with that attached to my stomach. So I would empty, you know, just routinely when it gets so high or when it feels like it wants to, you know, want relief of that. But I definitely do that about 2 times less per day. So if you think, I think the fiber, obviously, where it doesn't break down, you have to get rid of that because it has to be, it's not absorbed, it's not dissolved, it's not utilized, you can't use it. It's pretty much, you know, it's designed for herbivores, really. If you think about that, they actually garner fatty acids and things like that, that they benefit from that. They churn into proteins and energy, and you know, that it creates them. They're made of that. All their cells are made of that stuff, pretty much. Where we don't make cells, we don't. It's not good for our mitochondria. We don't use that as energy. So that stuff goes in, and it has to come out. And so, imagine you took the fiber out of everything a vegan would eat, for example. You know, that's going to minimize the volume straight away because you've taken an aspect out where it's just the bulk, if you like, that roughage bulk that you've added to it. So I often say, you know, when you eat fiber, when you add fiber to your diet, you just add fiber to your stool. There is really no other thing, nothing going on there. That yes, there is a benefit that we feed the biome, but that's through ketones. You know, we generate short chain fatty acids; those are converted into the ketones, and that's what feeds the guts, what feeds the colonocytes. That's how, you know, ruminants and herbivores, that's what they benefit from that. We don't really ferment it to that point where it's of any benefit. And actually, the more you consume, if you're like me, it's going to just cause horrendous amounts of inflammation. And that's just going to exacerbate your, you know, disease or your symptoms and stuff like that. So, yeah, I empty less. I think mostly, again, you know, I use more of the food that I'm eating. And so it's reduced. It is quite liquidy, but that's normal. As it would hit the colon, that's when the colon would absorb the water out of it, and so it would stodge up, if you know what I mean. And so mine's never going to be comparable to a normal person on carnivore with a colon. It's just going to be two different things. But yeah, it's reduced, you know. And I think my stoma nurses, they wonder if it's not good, you know. Oh, it should be a bit thicker than that, but they don't understand. Well, it won't be if I'm not consuming carbs. If I'm not consuming starch and fiber, it won't be as you say it should be. And so there's quite a lot of misunderstanding there, even amongst the professional circles.
So it seems to me, it sounds also difficult for you to know whether you've had enough fat. You know, we talk about how fat is an essential macro for us in addition to the protein. And one way that I'm able to judge is by my stool. But if your stool is always liquid, I guess it would result to your energy. I'm not sure. How do you know we haven't had enough?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. So I've figured out for me what happens. It's really strange. It becomes, if I consume too much fat, it's a little overwhelming. I almost feel like I've actually overeaten, which is very unusual for carnivore. You almost never feel that. Your signals tell you, right, you're done, and that's it. But if of that volume of food, if a lot of that is too much fat, what happens is I just feel a little bit overwhelmed, almost to the point that it's not nauseating, but it's like, oh, you know, I don't feel 100%. And then I'll all of a sudden get a whole bag, just instant, like just quickly. And that to me was like, okay, that's too much fat. And so it's interesting. It actually you can still tell the difference between the liquid and the liquid, if that makes sense. So that there is like, I've gotten used to the kind of healthy consistency for me. If it's too much, it's genuinely like water. And so, yeah, it's still, you kind of still gauge it in the same kind of way, I guess, you know, in many ways.
Okay, good.
Well, here, let me go ahead. Helper wants to know some of the symptoms that you noticed were gone. About how long into the carnivore living did they go away? And she says that I am 20 days on carnivore and still have quite a few aches and pains. Well, what I don't know is like how old you are, because one of the things we shared with you in the beginning, you're young enough to be our son. And so for us, I'm turning 60 this year. So we spent a long time eating what we want. So there's a lot of things that were locked away in our fat. Pictures that I've seen of you, on the other hand,
That's true.
you didn't get to your big body just yet. I didn't see
No.
that of you. So, but you can still kind of answer this question. I think earlier you said 2 weeks you started noticing for the depression part, but I don't know what else you were dealing with besides this.
Yeah. So it's funny. So the very first thing that went, it was overnight. Genuinely, the next day, I realized I didn't have any acid reflux. And that was something that would come and go. Mostly in the evenings, I would get acid reflux all the time. That's something that went overnight and has never come back. Now, I have heard of some carnivores, they go carnivore and actually they still have acid reflux. They may even exacerbate their symptoms for a little while. And for me, I know that personally, seed oils and grains, even like beer, you know, because of all the grains in the beer and the acid and all that kind of stuff, that stuff would give me acid reflux and heartburn. So the moment I stopped drinking, I'd stopped having grains and seed oils, that just went. For others, I'm not, it would maybe like what you're saying, you know, if you've been at destroying your health for longer, maybe you're storing things in fat because we store a lot of toxins in fat. Maybe there's more oxalates, maybe there's other things that haven't corrected yet. And so for some people, it exposes weaknesses in the previous diet, and it can take a little bit longer because they have to get better before they start to now relieve themselves of the pain, the aches and the symptoms. So sometimes, you know, like oxalates, it's by not eating certain foods that flags up, if you like. But what's actually happening is it's triggered through, you know, exposing the previous diet. Now you've switched, and that's why it's probably a good idea to try and transition slowly, and maybe even have tea for a little bit just to keep some very small amounts of oxalates coming in. Do you know what I mean? So you can kind of manage the process, so it's not too like night and day overnight. That can be quite traumatic for the body, the biome, and all this sort of stuff. But I mean, yeah, ultimately it took about 3 weeks for all my problems to go. The only thing I was suffering with was cravings after that point. And that lasted for maybe 4 months, and then that went completely. So in terms of aches and pains, they went it was all gone in within 3 weeks. My skin was better, my energy was way up, depression completely gone. My cognition was better. I can think and articulate my speech better. I mean, I clean windows. I'm not qualified to do anything in life. I clean windows. I didn't really apply myself at school, but now I feel like I could have done so much more because my brain, I feel like I got my brain back, you know, it's crazy. I can learn and retain information. I seem to be making improvements on the piano, even though I played since I was 10, I'm getting better in my 30s. And that's something that it just comes naturally. It's very strange. Maybe it works better for others. And like you said, you know, I wasn't really that large or anything. And so maybe I had a quick turnaround. And I also think that not having my colon and not having a biome, I got away with transitioning quite quickly because it didn't maybe have any kind of negative outcomes from doing that. I was just very impatient. I was suffering with depression. I was like, I really just want to try this thing ASAP. So yeah, jumped in overnight. But I mean, we're all different. It could take months, and that's what Candy Berry says, you know, weeks for some, months for others, and maybe it takes 2 years to get to the point where I'm happy, you know.
Yeah, I find that's what it is. I've had years locked away in these fat cells, and on Mondays every week I'm on a panel with 4 other ladies, and this month of February one of them is already a lion, but we all are doing the lion's portion
I think I know,
of the carnivore diet. And I think like day 2, I didn't even say it to them. I didn't say it to him. I found myself in pain, and I said, hold up. I wasn't like this, you know, eating the other stuff. But once again, I have issues locked away, and you can't eat what you want all your life and then like want to go to the gym for 2 weeks and then want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can't do that, and then you can't turn around and start eating this way and expect everything like right away. No, this is a marathon. It's your journey now. You decide how well you want it. I know some people that hit it hard. They want to exercise. They want to do everything because they want to see those results. for me, I've been a good food manipulator my entire life. We're not eating that for, okay, no problem. But this is different. What we're doing now, this is different. This is like life for me.
Yeah,
Stop it, I say.
I agree.
Right here.
Hold on, yeah. My battery in my earpiece. Okay, there we go. Anyway, okay, go ahead, your turn.
Well, you were talking about the food. Can you kind of give us an idea of what you eat? Are you strict? Are you a strict carnivore, a lion type, or?
Pretty much. I'm very close. Yeah, I've whittled off. So in the first 30 days, the challenge was BBBE. So I was eating more eggs. I was eating bacon almost every time I ate. There was bacon there. Even after the 30 days, I started to eat some cheese and things like that. Where now I've amped up red meat and the fat, butter, but I don't really touch other dairy products. I occasionally have some raw cheese as dessert, made here and there. If I fancy it, I don't beat myself up about that. But I just don't have that. I don't have any bacon really. I've reduced pork, but I do have a little bit of pork. If I've got some Iberico, which or like free, really healthy pigs that they guarantee, it's on a pasture for life program. There's some nice cuts of pork there. Every now and again, I'll have, like today, I had a T-bone steak and an Iberico pork chop, and that was perfect for me. But every day I have red meat, always fatty red meat. So ribeyes, sirloins, oxtail, short rib. Every now and again ground beef, but I'm not. I prefer proper steaks, and all the time I can afford it. I will. I just justify it as my priority. So yeah, I'm very close to lion diet. I probably do that 5 days of the week, and then maybe 2 days. I have one of those as a fish day, and I have sort of a surf and turf, like a steak and some mackerel, wild caught mackerel, which is quite fatty as well. Or very fatty indeed, but eggs just to make up for when I don't have enough red meat, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I do things, and I only drink water now as well. So.
Okay, and how many times per day do you normally eat? You typically
mostly once now. Yeah,
once.
Yeah. So every now and again, I'd say like every other 2 weeks, maybe I'll have a breakfast, and here and there I'll have 2 meals if I really feel like. And my body's like, I would like to eat again. I'd eat, but that rarely happens. I can get enough food in one sitting, and I usually finish by 5 to 6 p.m. I don't like to go beyond 6 p.m. because then that affects like my sleep and stuff. I think it's to do with the protein. You end up kind of urinating a lot of that stuff out. So I usually try and finish by 5 p.m. my own mad. Yeah.
Glad you just said that.
Well, yeah. You don't want to eat after 6.
I'm not up using the bathroom. That's you. Yeah. And that's one of the things that it's like, good gracious, Carnivore didn't fix that. But now look at there.
No, there's some other issues before Carnivore.
I know, but you eat early in the day for the most part. That's good. Yeah. Wow. Okay, what else is it that? Okay, go ahead.
Your significant other, your girlfriend. Is she carnivore?
So she joined me in the BBBE challenge just for support in the first 30 days, and she lost a lot of fat. She went right after the 30 days. She then went keto because it was a little bit. She didn't justify it. She didn't have as much of a reason as me, and she was kind of missing things. And so she started to incorporate more of the safer vegetables, so a bit of lettuce, some olives, some avocado, to go with her meat. She eats a lot of fish. She eats a lot of chicken wings and thighs. She loves salmon, and so she's kind of taken that forward, if you like. She's now loose keto, but the amazing thing is since having Sky, so Sky's 14 now, but at the time, for 13 years, she'd had blood sugar, sort of, they call it pre-diabetic, that reduced again, like a few days, it's like way down again, right into normal range. That stayed the same, regardless of the fact that she's added some things back in her diet that a bit of sourdough bread and stuff like that. She's not going to beat herself up too much if she has an ice cream once a month or something like that, but she's but she's mostly pretty healthy, ketogenic, but every now and again just kind of treats herself when in Rome, stuff like that. She's lost weight and she's kept it off as well. I put up a video a long time ago, and there's a before and after picture. She just said that if I put like a little black thing across her eyes for whatever reason, because she was standing there in sort of a bra and knickers kind of thing. But yeah, you can see the weight loss, and that happened in 4 months. And she was actually eating more food, which is crazy. She was eating more than what she was before. The blood sugar went down, and her fat loss went down. And she's maintained that effortlessly. No trying. She doesn't exercise. She just does a day job a few days a week, and does crochet and
But
stuff like that. She's maintained the weight loss.
It's not the quantity of food that you eat; it's the quality of the food.
Yeah,
so that's how she's able to maintain. And that's one thing that I really love about this lifestyle. We don't even call it a diet anymore.
No.
By the time I actually started this, I had already lost a lot of weight. So it wasn't about weight for me. It was about solving some inflammatory issues that I was having. And losing weight or being able to maintain my weight was just a byproduct of it, and I just love that, because I can eat as much as I want, don't have to worry about gaining the weight back,
Yeah, that's
amazing.
one of the things that I shared today. I'll never be big again. That unless meat just makes you fat, then I will never ever be large to that degree again. I got up to 260 pounds.
I bet you never used to share that back then.
No. Unfortunately, I am one of the ones.
She was vain. She was one of those big girls. Yeah, she didn't know she was big. It was like
I didn't know.
Right.
And now I look at the pictures and I'm like, oh my God. And you could not have told me I wasn't just, rocking that outfit and that's what you guys saw. And you all just let me walk around.
That's exactly what Lucy was saying. I was fat. I was fat. I was like, I didn't really think you were fat, but I guess so.
I used to laugh and tell people I can grow fingernails, I can grow hair, and I can grow thighs with no issues whatsoever. And but that's what I was just sharing today, that I will never, ever go back. And here's one of the reasons why my story is barbecue sauce. And I share with people, I was a sauce monster. I like barbecue sauce, gravies, hot sauce. I carry in my purse. That's me.
Is that like Tabasco?
And
like Tabasco sauce?
No, it's actually hot sauce. Tabasco is not. I like the hot of it. I don't like the flavor of it. Okay. And so we have what we call red hot. It's I don't think it's.
I know that. Yeah. I know we do that here. I used to love that stuff from chicken wings. Oh my God.
God, yes. Don't get us started. And then look, take that and mix with some butter and mix them two together. That's a hot wing sauce right there. Anyway, good, great time. Got sidetracked. I know I'm talking about not getting big. Well, like I said,
I'm trying to jog your memory here.
I know, down those thighs. But no, it triggered this phone call that I had literally hung up 10 minutes before we got on air with you. And so it's staying in my mind where, she's like, I can't even stand the smell of meat. I couldn't either. When he started talking about carnivore, and I'm like, I still don't like how beef smells.
Okay.
But it's not like the steak aspect of it. It is more if I put some beef in a slow cooker, just put some salt on it, and then the next day when you open it, it's that aroma.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that I don't like that smell. And I actually started back with lamb. Now I love me some lamb. I made some lamb steak bites yesterday. So that is a thing that I like. But I just look forward to this healthy lifestyle. This is the first time in my life. I don't know what older people think of. I've never been this age before. I remember being younger and seeing older people. I don't know. Do you wake up and say, "Oh, good gracious, I'm closer to death than I am to life," or being born? You start getting close to 100, and you don't see many people at 100. So time is ticking. Yeah. This is the first time in my life that I really think I'm gonna make it to 125.
Well,
But
hey,
I
if you
guess
keep
that'll be
improving,
just like me when I thought I was small and I was big.
yeah.
but I mean, technically, if you're improving right now as you're getting older, because you're actually ridding more problems, ridding more toxins, getting rid of things, and you're making like leaps and bounds as years go by, technically you're adding to your lifespan. I would say it, right? How can you not be? So who knows?
I know.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Lee. One of the things she and I often talk about, we really, when we try to encourage people to take this path, we know in our hearts that we really don't know how much damage we've already done to our bodies. No,
True.
you had some major issues at an early age. Now, I lost my gallbladder, which I think had I been eating properly, I never would have lost it because it would have been functioning the way it should.
You say you lost it, like it just.
Yeah, I lost it.
You had to remove.
You
lost it like it just fell out on the street.
Yeah, but my concern has always been, did we start too late? How much can we really recover? Because
I don't
even
think
with
so.
some of the,
I don't think so. I think that you're with the problems that you've had. I don't think they were severe enough. You weren't too far gone. I think there are so many years. I don't even think it takes like what they used to say 7 years for all of your cells to be sort of brand new. Technically, if you do this for a few years, you're going to be like quite literally a brand new person made out of the high quality foods that you're eating now. I can't see why not. And just the positive outlook and mentality that you have, that you've got rid of not only the inflammation, but that's a mental burden that's just lifted. You don't have that, and so you're going to see things clearly, feel clear, your head's clear, like your sleep's better. Right? I'm sure everything's probably improved. So I can't see why.
Except for the sleep. Except for the sleep.
Oh, really? Oh, okay,
except for the sleep. Yeah. And I think I blame. I don't even want to call it a blame. My sleep is such that I have so much energy. It's like when I wake up, if I wake up and go to the bathroom at night, it's like, okay, I'm up. I'm ready to go do some work,
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I slept enough, to
I know what you're saying.
really restore my body.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I was definitely more like that in the beginning. I would wake up earlier than normal, or go to bed a little bit earlier, tired, especially in the beginning. But I'd wake up and be like, whoa, I'm kind of awake. Like what you're saying. You can't force yourself to. You could lay back down, but it's like, good luck trying to get back to sleep now. I'm just awake. The moment my eyes come open, I'm like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
To go.
Then I feel like I'm wasting time. I mean, like even this today, I woke up at 2:30 a.m.
Okay, I thought you went to the bathroom.
No, I don't went out to my office at 3 a.m. I'm in my office working. So by 11 o'clock, I mean, I get so much work done when I do it that way, though.
Yeah.
And put on a full day by 11 a.m. I'm done. 11 a.m. I'm done.
That's crazy.
And
do you feel like you get tired at like the wrong times, or do you feel like you're sometimes tired when you shouldn't be in bed or something like that? Or
no, not really. I just have an enormous amount of energy, and I keep her running sometimes, I look over at her, she's trying to go to sleep. I'm like, I got too much energy over here. We got wake up.
The thing that so that's what I was talking about. I was talking about looking towards like the older people. That's what I was talking about. And I don't know what kind of conversations and stuff, but now I'm one of the older ones. And I love telling younger people that, yes, you still have sex at this age.
Why wouldn't you?
And
when
your body is doing better and all of that. So you have a lot to live for.
I have to say, Lee, that at this age, I feel better than I did when I was in my early 30s. I think I was first diagnosed with high blood pressure in my early 30s. And I was going through some having some metabolic issues then. And now at 60, I feel so much better. Life is so great right now.
That's amazing.
And I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I get a lot of messages like that a lot as well. I'm 72. I feel like I'm 40 again, and that's powerful stuff.
Right, it is. It really is. I got one last question. We don't want to keep you long.
No worries.
We've always felt like you really need a strong why. It helps to have a strong why if you're going to venture down this path. And I know you have a strong why. And I feel that my wife and I have strong whys. And we run across people often, especially young people, that don't quite have that strong enough why. You're talking about Lucy.
100%,
you know, her why isn't that strong because she's doing great, feeling great. She has no issues. So what? You know?
Yeah, no, I agree.
So what about other family members of yours? Or is anyone else a carnivore?
Yeah, so my mum is full carnivore. She's not like the Lion diet, but she eats steak, eggs, bacon, every now and again some pork. That's pretty much my mum's diet. Butter, cooks in ghee and adds butter and things like that. My brother's not long gone full carnivore now. He's also eating the same kind of things. He loves fish as well. Like have a bit of salmon. Who else? I mean, there's some friends that have gone carnivore. Another one, he's cured his diabetes. You know, someone that doesn't live too far from here. And the doctors were like, "Oh, whatever you're doing, carry on doing it." They had no clue. You know, if the steak and eggs, that's what I eat, and add salt, and they're like, "Oh, what? That's the opposite of what." But it's working. So
everything that we've been talking.
No, was it because of you that they tried this, or did they try it before you?
Yeah, this was before I set up my YouTube. I was sort of talking about it on Facebook, and again, it's interesting because at the time, because it's done you wonders. Like you wake up, you're unplugged. It's like you've been reborn, and you see things the way they are. But trying to get through to these other people, not that I'm trying to force it upon them, but to even just talk about it, I feel like some of these people were getting a little bit fed up, and so I just backed off. But one friend particularly, he showed interest. He's like, "Wait, are you serious? Is this really that profound?" And I was like, "Yeah, seriously, you should try it." Tried it, lost weight, cured his diabetes very, very quickly.
Awesome.
So yeah, I've impacted quite a few people in real life, but obviously the channel, that's what's helping. I get some very personal emails bearing very personal things to me. Just it's crazy. Sometimes I show my partner, I'm like, "Matt, look at that. Look at this. Look at this just short paragraph. It makes you cry almost. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
It's really, really powerful stuff. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, because I think of it for even when you were going to the doctor, and I think of all the times where we are going to the physician, there's this pain, it's here. And, here comes the test and here comes all of that. And it's like, listen, we don't see anything, but I can give you this for this. And you might, have this, go ahead and take this. And we noticed, this over here was a little out. So go ahead. And now you've walked away with 3-4 prescriptions that now you should literally take. They're lifetimes. And then your side effects and all of that. And I try to tell people I was vegan. I didn't get on YouTube one time and ask you or share this at all. I didn't get on Facebook and say, I'm a vegan. This is what you should do. And part of the reason is because I was still going to the pain center. I still had all these ailments.
Mm-hmm.
When we started this, he started 2 days before me. I was just kind of peeping at him. And then when we started, I looked at him and said, we need to start a channel. This is remarkable. Something is not right. There's no way. I tell people 3 years, the doctors wrote me a prescription for high dose Percocet, 120 a month. And my question was, well, how long am I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
I'm receiving injections. And the neurologist twice for back surgery. And I'm like, if y'all mess up, you didn't get a good night's sleep. I'm stuck in a wheelchair. That was my thought. I don't want to be in a wheelchair right now. I don't want to be those different things. So I put it off. And I'm very thankful that I did. I try to tell people I've never pushed anything like this. And so, but I respect how it is that you feel in the way that you're eating. But it has a hold on you, and you can't put your arms down. Your fat is like this. You don't want to wear short sleeves because, it goes on and on. You've body shamed even yourself. I know. I told you 260 pounds. I will never do that. I will never do that again.
No, it's almost impossible
yeah.
to get there, even if you wanted to, if you're just going to carry on eating what you're eating now as well. That would be, that's the impossible challenge right there, is to try and get to where you were eating this diet. So that in itself is kind of like, that's the answer.
Yeah, it is impossible. I'm going to finish with the barbecue. That's what I was talking about too. What keeps me on the straight path is because I had some barbecue sauce. I'm a sauce monster. I had some barbecue sauce, and it wasn't a lot. It was the little pack that they give you. And for 2 days, I had pain in my hip. And I said, that brief moment of eating some barbecue sauce, and now I'm walking around limping for 2 days. It's not worth it to me. It's not worth it. So now, to so-called cheat, a piece of cake, or none of that is appealing to me. I don't want to go back to that pain in my body, the agony. Yeah, just none of that. None of
exactly. That's the thing. If everybody would, I'm not being funny, but if everybody felt like they got smashed in the face every time they took another bite of chocolate, they'd probably quite quickly give up chocolate. But most people don't get that reaction. They don't face those consequences. Where for me, I don't want to be depressed anymore. I don't want to feel like all these different issues that I used to feel. So that is my why. That just keeps me going. It's easy. It's so easy when you feel so good. It's easy to continue feeling so good. That would be crazy for me to wake up one day and go, do you know what? I want a bunch of health problems and symptoms to just come and hit me in the face. Like, why would I do that? It doesn't make any sense. And so, and I actually love the food that I eat. I genuinely look forward to my steak. When I start to get hungry, I love the sound of meat. I don't think of anything else. So, definitely try it if you haven't.
Same here. I'm a ribeye man myself.
Yeah, me too.
Look, and so am I now, because they were out of the bulk for the ribeye, and they had, what was it? Sirloin, New York strip on sale. Evidently I don't know how to cook, because I said no. I'd
rather buy a ribeye that's not on sale than do that again.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't like it when they're too thin either. I the other day I was in the butcher's, and he had this different beef. He said it's British beef. It might not be. It's not a part of our Pasture for Life program, but they were on offer, and there were these like 4. I think it was like £15. And I was like, that's a pretty good deal. So I couldn't help myself. I bought it. They were pretty bad steaks. They were just kind of like thin, and the gristle was genuinely like eating a shoe. It was pretty strange. The fat kind of tasted a bit off as well. I don't know what it was, but it didn't bring out any kind of negative symptoms other than just, I'm not really enjoying this. Is not what I'm used to.
Right. Is there anything that you want to add, Lee?
No, not really. I mean, unless there's any of my subscribers in the chat right now, go and subscribe to Hanging with the Browns.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, it wasn't a lot of comments today,
and
I mean, and that's fine, because it is the afternoon. I'm going to put your video up in my top, because you're the man.
Yeah, you are. Again, I didn't elaborate much in the beginning, but I watched some of your videos. I'm like, how long did it take for you to find some of these stuff that you put together? I mean, a lot of work goes into it.
Oh, wait, a lot of work. Listen, we're gonna talk about that off the air.
Yeah,
we're not gonna tell the other people. So we're gonna say goodbye to the people, and thank you guys for joining, live or replay. This is the man, Mr. Lee.
Nice,
I love it.
it.
All right. Bye, everybody.